Let's get to Kirk Cousins, guys. Is it realistic? You mentioned his numbers earlier, Keith. 427 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, I think it's not insignificant that this was his first real road test in the division in a game that mattered. So that's significant in a way, and he certainly rose to the occasion. Not late, but he rose to the occasion overall. Is it realistic to expect similar production Thursday night versus the Giants out of Kirk Cousins?
I say yes. I mean, the first time he played really well, you say, well, it's Jacksonville. They're not very good. And not saying that the Eagles are a dominant defense, because they're shaky at times defensively as well. But we've seen Cousins do it now back-to-back weeks. I thought, the eye test, he passed in the sense that, he was getting the ball out quickly. He knew what he was doing with the ball for the majority of 3.5 quarters. I thought in the fourth quarter he kind of rushed it. They had the miscommunication with the late interception between him and Niles Paul. And I thought on the final drive, he was either changing the play at the line. It seemed like he rushed a couple of those throws to Roberts and to Garcon. But otherwise, the guy was pretty sharp. You get 34 points and 427 passing yards, 511 I think total yards out of the offense. You can't argue with the quarterback. And the Giants, not the Giants defense of old.
Both teams are 1-2. It's a big game for them. Do you expect similar production, Marissa, on Thursday night out of Cousins as you saw in Philadelphia?
I do. I don't see a big reason why it would change so drastically, unless Cousins is just having an off day, perhaps, because he did show himself to be pretty good that last game.
Yeah.
And there were the slight problems with the timing issues that when he's in the pocket sometimes. So I think if Williams and Columbus can kind of hold off the pass rush from the Giants, then I don't see a huge.
But 427 yards. That's a big number. So when you say similar production, what are you saying? Sort of somehow about like 350 plus?
I would say maybe 300-yard passing game. The other thing about the short week, and I know we got to let Dan speak here eventually.
Yeah, he's coming up.
The other thing about the short week is I think the advantage is maybe not necessarily to the offense, but to the you can't game plan a whole lot in this short week. So you run what you run, and Cousins is already comfortable. The Giants defense really can't put in a whole lot just for this game. So I think the advantage may go to Cousins and the offense in this case.
Dan, make the case for Cousins. Similar expectations?
Yeah, again, like when you say 427, remember that 81 of that came on one play, and I don't think you can count on having an 81-yard pass play. But even without that, he's still like in the mid-300s, and I would expect, based on the last 2 games, I would expect that's where he should be. I think at this point you have to think those last 2 games are much more indicative of what Cousins will do in this offense with this coach and these receivers than anything that happened at the end of last year. That's still going to be kind of held against him in the conversation, especially when RG3 comes back. But I think that you have to judge him on what he's doing with this offense, this coach, and this team. So, I guess other than, like Marissa said, other than him sort of being off and misfiring, it seems like there are open receivers all over the place. And even in the fourth quarter, when he sort of cooled off quite a bit, there seemed to be open receivers that he was missing there. And I don't expect him to do that consistently. So I think that he will be over 300 yards.
Let me ask you this: in the minute that we have left, how is the tone different for this team if he leads them down the field and scores a touchdown to win that game, and they get the ball back at 40? What is different?
Everything is different.
Yeah.
Everything is different. Then
we're not talking moral victories, that's for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, well, for one thing, they'd be tied for first place in the division with the Eagles with a tiebreaker, and we'd be saying, hey, is this a playoff team? Is this a possible division winner? Could this be a team that seizes control of the NFC East on Thursday night? Everything is different, but yeah, I just don't feel like it was like a coin flip game. I feel like when they had the chance, they did nothing. So, but I think that the conversation would be ridiculously optimistic right now.
So much of how we view the NFL too is what you do in the clutch.
Right.
You talk Tom Brady, because he's clutch. He's so great, and Eli Manning is probably Thursday's guy. A good example of somebody who's not necessarily great over the course of the season. 27 interceptions last season. He's been struggling this season, but he's viewed as a clutch player. And Cousins, leads that winning drive. All of a sudden, we start calling him clutch, and you start believing in him. You don't do it, and we'll give him a couple more chances. But he's not there yet.
He's definitely not there yet.
The fact that they gained literally 0 yards, I think, kind of beats that in even more. It wasn't just that they came up just short; they just didn't do anything.